So all my life, I've been a cheater. And all my life, while I've been in school, whether it was college or middle school, they try to change me, make me a normal person. I didn't like it though. And here's what I mean when I say I've been a cheater. I love to play games where the odds are stacked in my favor. When it comes to money and finance and investing, I can figure out a way to stack the odds in my favor so I can win and I can make money. And that's what I'm interested in. I'm not really interested in gambling. So if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't play the lottery. I've never bought a Powerball ticket in my entire life. Not when it was $100 or $1 billion, but what I am interested in is in numbers. So in this video right here, I'm gonna tell you exactly if you were to win the $1 billion prize, how much money would actually go into your pocket? Is it better to take the lump sum or, for example, take the annuity so you can guarantee you won't run out of money? And in reality, what are the risks associated with this? You might be asking me, Tommy, this channel is about the long-term team. We invest money. We know what we're doing. Why make a video about the lottery? I gotta be honest, okay? I have a friend. He just won about $350,000 or so with the lottery, and that inspired me to make this video because I'm like, yo, you really won that much money? And he's like, yeah, and he really has the money, and to me that's pretty cool. But again, the odds of you winning the lottery, I gotta be frank. The odds of you winning the lottery when it comes to the Powerball are almost the same if you don't even play the lottery, okay? That's how crazy these odds actually are. But let's get into the video and break down the facts. As always, guys, like this video. On top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. Now, for those people that don't know out there, if you're wondering, Tommy, how do these prices keep going up and up and up? Won't they run out of money? The truth is, the house never loses. And you know this, okay? Everyone knows this. If the house brings in $100 billion a year and they pay taxes, administration fees, the actual prices, and they're actually able to keep around $30 billion, these are real numbers by the way, the answer is the house is always the person winning. So you might win 500 million, you might win $1 billion, the house is still winning all the time. So they win, doesn't matter, understand that, but in this case though, what would be the perfect strategy here? If you were to win the lottery, which the odds are basically not in your favor, but you won the lottery, which should you actually take? The lump sum, which basically means you get all the money at once, but there's a penalty for that, or you take the annuity, which basically means they grab the amount of money you would basically get and spread it out, usually over about 3 decades, which is about 30 years or so, okay? That's the idea. Well, the answer is, it's not as simple as you probably think it is. Let me explain here. Because you might think, Tommy, well, if I take the actual lump sum, what would it actually look like? Well, let's break this down. The price is $1 billion. As you guys know, we all have a silent partner in this life, and his name is Uncle Sam. So off the top, because you will be in the largest, in the highest tax bracket, you'll be taxed about 37%. So off the top, you're looking at around $370 million gone to taxes. And that's gonna be paid basically at the end of the year. However though, at that moment when you actually get the money, they're going to withhold about 24% because they want to make sure they get some of their money. And then at the end of the year, if you have some money left over, okay, like a balance, you pay the rest then, okay? But Uncle Sam is not going to wait until the end of the year. He wants some of the money now. However, if you're not from America, you're actually foreign, and you actually got the money, they ask for 30% up front because they also want to make sure that they get paid. Again, Uncle Sam is always going to get paid. On top of that, there actually going to be a penalty because you take the actual lump sum, and that's actually going to be dependent on what it actually is. You know, you're looking at between federal taxes, if you live in a state or you bought the ticket in a state where there's actually state taxes, you're looking at that too, and then plus the penalty. Let's say after everything is said and done, you get to keep $300 million. Now obviously, with this $300 million, it doesn't sound like much because it basically went from $1 billion to $300 million, basically meaning you just lost 70% without doing anything. That's pretty crazy. I will be kind of mad, okay? But it's still a bunch of money. Now, the idea is, if you have this much money, you have a few options here. You can put this money, for example, in an index fund like the S&P 500 and basically invest it and get around 10% a year and just take out a little bit and basically live off of that forever and don't run out of money, which is one option. More on those numbers later. Or you can say, hey, I'm gonna pick the lump sum, which basically means, hey, okay, $1 billion, you take the 37% for taxes, but then the rest of the money, which is roughly about $330 million, that money is going straight to you. But the idea is you get it over 30 years. And you might say, Tommy, okay, so what's the actual math here? Well, the math is simple. If you take this 360 million, okay, let's use small numbers for simplicity because the numbers are massive, and you divide this, for example, by 30, you're looking to get somewhere around $21 million every single year. And you might say, Tommy, well, that's a lot of money, okay? It's a lot of money. You know, I'd rather get that 600 million over 30 years than get just now like 300 million. It's like half the money, right? It's not that simple. Let me explain why. Because you're looking at 21 million, but remember, because you are receiving this money in annuity format, every time you get that money, you're going to be taxed. And because you're going to be taxed at the highest rate, you're looking at, again, 37% basically gone to taxes. And that sucks. It does suck. I do understand, but I want to show you guys the math because, again, the government is never going to lose here. So check this out. So off the rip in taxes, although you're getting that $21 million, they're going to take every single year about $7.7 million for taxes, which leaves you left over with about $13.2 million after taxes every single year. And again, that might sound attractive, but I want to remind you guys of something, okay? If I told you, I'm going to give you $13 million today, how much money is that worth today? The answer is, it's worth $13 million. You don't need a brain cell to figure that out, okay? However, if I told you, I'm gonna give you $13 million 30 years from now, then you know because of inflation, because of opportunity cost and everything else, well, that $13 million is not worth the same as it would be if I were to get that money today. Now, I'm gonna do some very simple math here, and it's basically called the discount factor. If I'm not investing that money, if inflation is eating it up, then I can say, for example, I could probably make off of that money every single year without really any crazy risk, about 10%, right? So if I take that 10% and I punish those returns against the money I'm actually gonna get, overall, that $13 million today, which sounds very attractive, well, 30 years from now, it would only be worth roughly about $758,000. So as you can see, every time you get those payments later in the future, it's worth less and less and less and less. Because there's obviously other things you could basically be doing with that money at the moment. So overall, here's what I want to tell you. If you take the annuity, and you say, for example, well, the total amount of the payout is roughly somewhere around like 600 million. No, because you're gonna get taxed. So Uncle Sam gets even more money. But not just that, because of the discount factor, because of the price that you're paying, because you're not investing that money right now, in reality, the actual amount of money that you get in the long run is somewhere more like about $124 million. So you just went from winning $1 billion to waiting 30 years just to receive $124 million, which absolutely doesn't make any financial sense. And that's why whenever you hear somebody win a crazy, outrageous amount of money, they always say, give me the lump sum. Because one of the main risks, which people don't actually take into perception, is basically, yeah, we have the Powerball, it's a great company, they make a lot of money, they make billions of dollars every single year, people love to gamble, they'll always love to gamble, but overall, if that company for some reason slows down or goes out of business, well, so does your money. And on top of that, if you pass away along the way of those 30 years, then, and you didn't sort things things out with a lawyer and so on, then you're probably going to get estate taxes, and that can be up to 40% or maybe up to half of that money is basically gone before your kids actually inherit it. And that's actually not a great thing either. So that's why I say, for example, taking the lump sum of even $300 million, 30% is obviously going to be more than 10%. But not just that. Because you're getting all that money today, here's some more math that people usually don't consider, but you will, because I'm telling it to you guys right now, okay? So the math is simple. If I have $300 million, and I can put that money, let's say, for example, into the S&P 500, and I can earn 10% on it, which is actually pretty average, okay? Well, in reality, I'm looking to earn somewhere about $30 million a year, okay? Those are gonna be my earnings on that money. Now, let's say, obviously, you don't wanna take all the earnings, you wanna let that money keep growing and compounding. So let's say you decide, hey, I'm gonna try to live off, let's say, 4%, okay? So if you have $300 million, and you live off, for example, 4%, you're gonna live off somewhere around $12 million a year. Now, after taxes, which again, are gonna be quite a bit amount of money, but depending if you take out the dividends, which might be qualified, you might actually save up some more money, but in reality, let's just go with the highest tax rate, which is about 37% at the time. Well, you're looking at, you're gonna be left with around $7.5 million. But here's the caveat. You're going to be living off of $7.5 million every single year for the next 30 years. But because that money keeps growing and growing and growing over time, after the 30 years, that $300 million turns into about $3 billion, which is a lot of money. And that's what I'm saying, okay? There is no reason, there's actually no reason at all why someone should win the lottery and go broke like in 5 years. Although that's the average, because obviously Parkinson's law, which basically says the more money you make, the more money you spend. But if you're smart, you can spend money, but you don't actually have to give it up. You can actually have a lot more money if you invest it correctly. So that's the idea, guys, okay? So if I were to win the lottery today, my answer would be very simple. The first thing I would do is, first, I would not quit my job. Having a job is actually super important, not just for monetary reasons, but because you want some stability mentally while you figure things out. So the last thing I would do is kind of like, I don't want a job, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. A lot of dumb ideas come from having too much time on your hand. Second thing I would do is basically, I would literally put all that money, myself, my advice to me, into the S&P 500, and I would take the lump sum, obviously. And I would only live off 4% of that money, which would roughly be around $7 million. And even if it's roughly, let's say, for example, 3 million or 1 million or even $100,000, it's a bunch of money. And I allow my money to keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And if I want to take more money out, I can, but I don't risk actually losing that money at any point, okay? Fun fact, guys, by the way, the people that tend to play the lottery the most are usually broke people. The people that tend to win the lottery, they usually go broke within 5 years. And again, you might be asking, Tommy, how is it possible to keep basically upping the prices? The answer is, well, in October, a law took place, or a rule change happened, where basically they increased well, they decreased the odds by increasing the amount of like white balls in there or whatever. So this basically means that your odds went from 1 in 127 million to like 1 in 290 million, which basically means you're better off just staying home. But again, in my opinion, if you're playing the lottery as an investment, it's stupid. If you're playing the lottery because you want to have some fun and you want to speculate and you just want to be like, imagine this, and you want to spend $2 every now and then, like, it's not a big deal. I'd rather not, but if you do that, it's not really the end of the world per se, okay? That's my advice for that, okay? So overall, take the lump sum, invest it, live off of the eggs that goose produces. But a lot of people, they kill the goose, and that is so stupid. Don't do that, okay? I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified, and comment down below, would you keep the money all at once, or would you want the annuity? And by the way, if you made it all the way here, comment down below, cheater, so I know you made it all the way to the end. I've always been a cheater, and what that means is I like to play games where the odds are in my favor. I mean, that just makes sense, okay? Peace out, guys. Up here, another video. Over here's my face. Please subscribe. And as always, long-term team officially out.